Welcome to Daisy Nick's Recipes and DIY Crafts.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make some mittens, a scarf that just pulls in over your head, and a dog coat, all out of an old jumper or any old jumper you have at home. If you haven't got any, just ask any of your friends or family if they got any old jumpers they want to donate to you for a craft project.
First we'll make the mittens.
So I'm going to cut it along this blue line. So I've got enough for my mittens at the bottom. I'm going to do it from the one side, so I only have to really sew one section. So I'll draw round my fingers. It's a bit difficult on the wool because it keeps moving. Down to my thumb. Mark it about there. And then up from my thumb. Remember, you'll be sewing in a little bit, so you do need to go quite wide around your hand. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out now. Just leave a little allowance. There we go. And I've also got the jumper inside out, so I don't have to turn it around. I can literally sew it just straight after I've cut, which will be helpful because I don't want to fray any of the edges if I can help it. And chalk round that and then cut again, so I have my pair of gloves. I've also done the thumb quite a bit bigger. Let's get that the same so we have a good pair. There we go, they match now. So I'm now literally taking them to the machine and I'm going to stitch around the edge. So I'll do that now. When you start stitching, just do a couple of stitches back and forth on either end, and that'll just help secure the stitching. Also help feed it through so you don't stretch the knitwear. When I'm stitching around the thumb, I've done a couple of stitches, then I've lifted it up and just slightly repositioned to come round the corner. And I'll just keep doing that, a few stitches, reposition, a few stitches, reposition, a few stitches, reposition, because it literally pulls it out of place otherwise, so you just have to keep repositioning as you go round. Okay, so I've just finished sewing around this one here. I just cut these little bits off. Probably cut the label off as well, because that was the jumper label. So I'll turn this around and we'll have a look. There we go. So I'll pop these gloves on. There we are. A pair of mittens. Fantastic.
We're now going to make the little dog coat.
And then for the dog coat, I'm just going to cut along the top of the arm there. And this one here. We're going to start by unpicking with your little unpicker the seam at the bottom here. So just start unpicking that, open up the sleeve, so you're starting with a flat piece of material. As you start picking it, you'll probably be able to just pull and it'll come undone, like I have here. I just pull this one, it comes undone. So you'll end up with a flat piece to work from. It's already got dog hairs all over it. And I've only got a little small dog, a little pug, and I have checked that this sleeve is the right size for it. If you've got a larger dog, you're probably going to need to use the body of the jumper and perhaps use these sleeves for the mittens. This is going to be the neck and it's going to go down to the body. So what we're going to need to do is measure our dog and check what length from head to the base here to their tail ending. So I will go and measure her now. Stand still, my darling. And we'll be able to just see how long we're going to need it. So I think I'll go to about there. So I'll just put a little clip there at the moment to mark that. There we are, good girl. She comes to about here, so I'll be cutting that along and sewing over. So what I'll do, I'll just take it to the nearest coloured edge and cut along there. There we go. Now I'd like to put a little bit of detail on the back, and I'll attach that, I'll sew that over and attach it on with some little buttons which look really cute. So there's some pieces for my coat already. Now the second piece we need is the other sleeve. Now with this one, this is going to be the belly area. Get that flat. So I need to just measure her again underneath to see how wide it's going to be. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to place this on her and measure underneath where this finishes and where I'll need to cut. Around about here. So I'll cut that halfway so I can turn that. Actually, I'll cut it there just to make sure I've got enough. I can always remeasure. You don't want to cut it too short. That way is what I'm doing. So I'll pin that was there. And I will sew down here. So I've got two good edges because she'll need to have little feet holes. I will measure that in a minute. So there we go. I will now start sewing. I'm going to sew down here. Let me chalk line that so I know where I am. I'm using a standard head and needle. I'm just slowly sewing down the chalk mark. Now I'm just going to trim along my stitch line about 1/4 inch.
Then I'm going to open it up and sew along the bottom raw edge of the belly section.
I'm now going to sew around the edge of this piece here, which is going to go on the back with some little buttons. And there we go, that's that piece done. So we've got the belly bit done, the little thing that's going on the back there. So what we're doing is we're attaching the underbelly part to the top part. So we need it the good side to good side, and we're going to stitch this together. So we'll have it. I've measured it to my dog and her legs come here to here. So I'll leave this section here open. So I'll stitch from here to here, and then I'll leave a gap, and then I'll stitch from here to here. Same on the other side. Don't forget to just do a few little back stitches either end of your sewing. So that's finished sewing now. I'm just going to snip off any of the little pieces around, and then I'll go and try it onto my little dog. I'm just reshaping around the bottom here because as I've tried it on her, it's a bit square on the corners. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to I'll fold it in half so we can get it equal both sides. There we go. So I'm going to cut the corners off and just round that up a little bit. There we go, that's going to be better now. And I'm just going to take this a little bit off, a little bit more there. Just there. That's it. And I'm going to turn this inwards like that and just hand stitch it using the needle and thread, because it does give a better appearance around the outside. So I'll do that and then come back to you. And I've just found 2 buttons where I can just sew the little strip onto the back, which gives it this little finishing touch.
Now we're going to make the scarf.
So I'm going to cut along here. I will need my picker, and I'll unpick one side. You can also, instead of using a machine which can be a bit fiddly with the knitwear, you can hand stitch round the gloves and hand stitch the dog blanket, and it works very well. I mean, brilliant to hand stitch them as well. It's probably slightly easier to hand stitch actually, because it's wool. It does stretch and move around a lot. Right, so now we have our long scarf. So I'm going to turn them over once, twice, like that. And then I'm going to hand stitch these. So I've got a larger needle with a bigger eye on it. And I'm going to use some thread. You can use wool, thread, whatever, all the way along, or maybe just in and out all the way along. Thread the needle and do it by hand. I did the others on the machine, so I'll just see how this goes by hand. I might get a slightly better finish as you're going to see the edges of this. Okay, what I'll do so far, and then I'll come back to you and show you how it's gone. I'm just starting off with a few stitches. Right, I've been hand stitching this for a little while now, and I'm really pleased with it. It's turned out really nice. So I'm just going to carry on doing this until I've got right to the end. I'll show you what it's looking like. There you go, that's what it looks like. It's come out really well, looking lovely across the end there, and also nice on the other side. So I think this scarf is better finished by hand, really nice. So I'll carry on, finish off the rest of that, do the other side, and then show you how it's finished. I've hemmed all the edges now with a plain stitch using this here and the wider needle. I've put this around myself and marked with the chalk where I'd like the buttons and how it positioned, and I also marked underneath as well, so I can then line these up and sew the buttons on. And when I've sewed the buttons on, I have sewn all the way through the double layers. So I'll just finish sewing this one on. There we go. Obviously I haven't gone through I've just gone through the 2 layers here. And then I've finished everything. I'm really pleased with how it's come out. There we go. I'll tie a knot in that and just finish that off. So there we go, that is finished now. Really pleased. We've got the scarf that can go round you, the gloves, mittens, and the dog coat. There we go. I hope you've had fun making and recycling a old jumper into some new items. If you liked my video and everything that I've made here, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more DIY videos. Thanks for watching.